I just watched a video on Marfugel, and it was Protocol Blue. And he was referring to how the electrical grid, if it ever went down, that we know how to restore it, right? And how do you think the electrical grid is set up through the electrical grid in which it's managed by computers? That's information sciences, isn't it? And you have every unit of consciousness, right? Think about how many units of consciousness is plugged into the grid. In other words, you're choosing, using your quantum energy to plug into something that you gave consent to, which is the electrical grid that was set up by them. Okay? That's the consciousness field of electromagnetic energy that we use to experience who we are. That's the quantum energy that we choose to experience. What it is the reality that we experience. So what he was referring to is that they can predict, because if the restoration was to take place, then they know if that happens, then they can prevent it from happening. So what we're talking here, actually, and I've covered this before on Rose Sweet, that's my old channel, okay, is it's known as a probability function. Okay, remember, we're back to identity to function. So if you can measure and map the field of consciousness, right, which is every unit of consciousness, and you can measure on a graph their timeline, which means much like an EKG strip, and you can map all the EKG strips, which is to map all the timelines that exist for every unit of consciousness, then you can actually run a probability function if an event occurs, the amount of energy that is lost in terms of light. Okay? That's a probability function. Trying to predict that. Okay? So this is called a prediction to a response of input of stimulus, an event stimulus on what's known as an event horizon timeline. Okay? Again, they're trying to collapse the timeline. Okay? They're trying to do every trick in the book. So you got to be ahead of the curve. So this is where 5D consciousness, or 5D chess, is playing chess with lower evolution, lower density consciousness, right? On a multidimensional level. That's what's happening. So you have to sort of think of this way. We're ahead of the game. We have to know what they're doing before they do. That's what they try to do. That's their probability function. So we have to run a better probability function in order to know what's going to happen in the future before they do. Or they collapse the timeline, don't they? See the game we're in? Frequency wars, genetic wars, electric wars, clone wars, hybrid wars, multidimensional wars, interdimensional wars. That's what it is. And most people have no idea the scale to which this problem actually exists, because it's a mind virus. It's a virus that is seeking to eat up all the light. So if it eats up all the light and you forget who you are, which was what the light was, and you live in fear of what love is, which is in fear of the light that created this universe, what happens? We'll use the exponential function. That's why Tanith of the Silver Legion clearly stated, these are universe killers. Okay? So what do you think is going to happen? We have to solve that problem from the top and the bottom down. This is just one outpost. This is one planet chip. But this is the home of the human heart. Okay? So this is why this place is so important. This particular planet is one of the most beautiful planets I've ever been on. It's the level of diversity in all the different places that you can go, and the way this girl carved this place out, for me, is paradise. So we're not going to let that happen. Okay? That's the good news. The other bit of the good news is that we already won this. Okay? So I'm not worried about nothing. Okay? actually, this is a time to celebrate. And all the native tribes and the Indians on the planet, the elders and the chiefs and the peacekeepers and the healers, the medicine men, the medicine women, my clan mother, Karen Ann Luke McDonald, Patty Broussard, who's known as the Hammer, who's the commander of the Earth Defense Force, we're not going to let certain things happen. That doesn't include the ground commander, okay? And the other ET forces on behalf of the light that are here, including the Arcturians, okay? So relax. They want to put everybody in a state of fear, okay, to lower the energy. That increases the probability function, doesn't it? You get everybody to believe that something's going to happen. That's a lot of quantum energy to make it happen. That's the point, okay? They're relying on that because trauma, okay, to a child, which is abuse, leads to self-abuse as an adult. So it's easy to trigger a fear response in an adult from the abuse that it experienced as a child because they're still holding on to all that resistance, and that becomes a trigger of the memories they're still holding on to that haven't been cleared. That's why we're getting healing energies into this planet, is to clear what's being held in resistance in order to do what? Increase the probability function in the other direction. Have a great night.